Hi loves, happy Wednesday. It's Colleen here from Cellular Life Wellness. So I've had some questions this week regarding meditation. So I just wanted to pop in and share some information for you on the discussion of are you meditating or are you dissociating? So a lot of people come to yoga when they're in the process of healing from something or when their body is not entirely okay. And different forms of meditation have different results. So a lot of the time when people perceive meditation, they see Instagram photos and they think it's a woman sitting in lotus position on a beach under a palm tree. This is not necessarily meditation. There's all kinds of different forms of meditation, and each form of meditation has a different result. So I've lived in Asia for 16 years. I've practiced various forms of meditation and learned from different people from within the tradition. And from this, I share from a place of experience, right? Everything I teach is from a place of experience. So the West has kind of come across transcendental meditation. There is a huge movement and a lot of advertising that I'm seeing coming up in my Facebook feed for transcendental meditation and also Kundalini related practices. So if you're not within the yoga industry at the moment, or if you haven't started practicing, these words might seem a bit like, totally foreign to you. Or for some of you that have been in the yoga industry, you'll know what I'm speaking of. Regardless of whether you get it or not get it, keep listening, and there's valuable information to share on this. So transcendental meditation is a form of meditation where you use your mind to basically get out of your body. So instead of keeping your mind and your body in the same place at the same time, you are using your imagination, often led by another person. So you're led by your yoga instructor or you're led by your meditation teacher, and the person will talk you through a process whereby you're using your imagination to either focus very intently on different parts of the body, or you're using your imagination to go somewhere else. So it'll be somewhere along the lines of, like you're lying on the floor at the end of a yoga class, or you're listening to an app, and the app will say something along the lines of imagine yourself on a beach with the water lapping on your toes and feel the water rising up through your body, all of this, right? So you're using imagination and you're kind of visualizing a situation that is not real. This is transcendental meditation. So from a Western perspective, our education system is very, very different to Asia. Asian people are taught from the beginning of schooling self-awareness, self-regulation, what emotions feel like, what it feels like to be in your body, and how to regulate emotions and how to regulate your nervous system. So I specifically use the word regulate and not control, regulate and not suppress. These are very different concepts, right? Whereas in the West, we kind of go into the education system at a very early age and we leapfrog straight into academics. So we leapfrog straight into using our mind and processing information, storing information. But we haven't really learned what it feels like to be in our home, like primarily in the body that we've been given. So when we start with this transcendental meditation, it is very easy for people from the West, generally speaking, to use their imagination to get out and use their imagination to escape from the reality or escape from essentially their skin. It is very difficult for Western people in many instances to stay in their body, like to have your mind and your body in the same place at the same time can be quite difficult for people. But the benefit of learning this is that the difference between these two approaches is that with transcendental meditation, there's no transferable skill in this. By transferable skill, I mean, for example, if you're at work or if you're in the supermarket, you're in the bank, and the world is starting to stress you out, or your nervous system is starting to get a little bit over stimulated, there's cortisol that's happening in your body. If you've learned to meditate with this whole close your eyes and escape thing, it doesn't help you in the here and now. So in that very situation, when you're in a work environment, for example, in a highly stressed situation, you haven't learned a transferable skill to use in that moment. So that's the first downside of it. The second downside of it is that learning in this way is that you're constantly being led by another person. At no stage are you learning to actually take ownership of your own practice, and most importantly, taking ownership of your own mind and your own emotions. You're not learning how to self-regulate by using a practice like this. Third of all, when people have had a traumatic experience, and specifically, like very specifically, when there's been sexual assault or sexual abuse involving women, they very often have learned to numb themselves. Or they're very often in that instance, especially if it's been, within abusive relationships where it has been experienced a lot of the time, or people that have worked in, say for example, the paramedics and people that see horrific things every single day. These people learn to kind of compartmentalize, or they learn how to distance themselves from it. It becomes second nature, that they basically don't feel anything, and this is a coping mechanism in order to do the job that they're doing. What can very often happen is that with these very stressful experiences, or when women have experienced sexual assault and they've learned to check out, they've learned how to make their body numb, doing transcendental meditation is very unbeneficial, because it's essentially causing a further and further separation between the mind and the body, and at no time does the body actually end up feeling like a safe place to be in. So that's a very important point for trauma-sensitive yoga, is that not all forms of meditation are suitable for everyone. And one of the main intentions, or one of the main points with trauma-sensitive yoga, is that we learn how to make the body feel like a safe place. So when people have had a traumatic experience, whether that is a very highly stressful work environment where their cortisol levels are consistently up, or they've had a car accident where there's been a lot of fear that's come up, or like anything that is really heightened your sense of awareness. When there's been a high level of fear that has occurred, the body no longer feels like a safe place. And so this is often why people start using alcohol, they start using drugs, they start using all kinds of things to consistently keep the body in a numb state, because the nervous system is so overwhelmed that it doesn't feel safe to literally be at home, like in the skin, right? So this is important in terms of trauma-sensitive yoga. A lot of people don't even realize that they're dealing with trauma, right? I've seen statistics as high as like 1 in 3 people in the general population, 1 in 3 people within the general population has experienced a traumatic situation. So when these people walk into a yoga class where they're being taught how to escape, how to dissociate, how to imagine being somewhere else, they are going further and further away from a mind-body connection. And so the body no longer feels like a safe place, and this is a consistent cycle of elevating the nervous system, escaping, elevating the nervous system, escaping. And in terms of transcendental meditation and Kundalini practices, many people have experienced psychotic episodes using these practices. They can experience large-scale confusion. So as the dissociation increases, higher levels of dissociation, they lose time, there's large-scale confusion, and many people have had psychotic episodes with these practices. So the approach from a trauma-sensitive yoga perspective is entirely different. Not all forms of meditation are the same. As I've said, there is a very clear difference between what is meditation and what is dissociation. So if you're practicing at the moment and you start feeling yourself going numb, or like there's a fuzzy feeling, or there's a clear disconnect between my mind is somewhere else off with the fairies and my body is here, this is not meditation, this is dissociation. You will often hear yoga teachers say things like connect to your consciousness or become the observer. Things like this, like the cues along these lines is a form of transcendental meditation, and for people with a history of trauma, it is not appropriate, it's not helpful, and it can cause a much bigger problem in the long run. So that's already 10 minutes. I hope that's helpful. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out. The email is info@salialife.com. The website is salialife.com, SALIYALIFE.com. The 200-hour trauma-sensitive yoga teacher training is running in January 2020 in Thailand. There is still available places. And if you can't make it, feel free to reach out to me. I do work online, and there is also workplace training that's available. So, have a lovely day. I hope that's helpful. Bye.